So shout out to Joe. But we're going to talk some guards, and this guards topic is brought to us by Buckeye State Credit Union. Today's episode is brought to you by Buckeye State Credit Union. If you're unfamiliar with them, let me introduce you to the financial friend you didn't know you needed until right now. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local brand offering a wide range of products, from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans. They have some of the lowest rates around and are committed to serving in Northeast Ohio. The Cleveland location is in Shaker Heights, but they have 5 brick and mortar stores across the state. Buckeye State Credit Union is here to help make your life easier. They make banking more convenient, always putting the customer first, so you leave feeling cared for, valued, and respected. Connect, simplify, and adapt. Those are the core values that make Buckeye State Credit Union the right choice for you. For more information, head to buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified. So the Guardians got rained out yesterday, guys. And I wanted to touch on some of the things
well,
that
technically the game got suspended.
Yeah. Actually, about that, did you hear Tom Hamilton's call about the rain?
I did not.
Well, we're going to play it then. Steve, you want to pull up the side here? I just thought it was funny, but Tom Hamilton was very frustrated that the game continued in the third inning after being rain delayed in the second and eventually suspended. But here's Tom Hamilton from last night.
It is pouring right now. What are we doing? Why are we playing in this rain? Why? This is not the Preakness. Here's Ty France, RBI single his first time. Bangs one to third, gloved by Ramirez, sets, throws, and just like that, a quick inning. Why? Everybody wants to go back into the dugout and try to stay dry. We have played 3 in a pouring rain, 2-1 Minnesota.
I thought that was funny, so I wanted to throw it in there. Tom is the absolute best.
Oh, my God, that's great.
But, Bull, I wanted to ask you this. You weren't on the show yesterday, and we had a lengthy discussion about the Guardians-Red series.
Yeah, that was
Jay,
some crazy stuff
myself,
right there.
Gia, I wanted to give you a chance to address some of that. But I wanted to start with this real quick.
Yeah.
Jay said yesterday that over the next 10 games, where the Guardians play the Twins, the Tigers, and the Dodgers, we're going to learn a lot about this team, what they're made of, and we may have to change the framing of how we see the rest of their season if this next 10-game stretch doesn't go particularly well for Cleveland. Now, I am not a baseball expert. I didn't know enough to necessarily push back and tell him why that's crazy, even though I thought at the time it's the end of May. We're less than a third of the way through the season. I think it's too early to do anything big picture in terms of changing the way we frame the season, but you had some issues with what Jay said yesterday, so the floor is yours to address that and something else he said.
So, first of all, what people don't realize about Jay, everybody's like, well, Jay was on ESPN, he's this national guy, but when it comes to his teams, it has nothing to do with his professionalism. The guy's the ultimate professional, but he is emotional like any other fan. That's why you love Jay, because he, even all those years of doing national TV, he has not lost his emotion for his teams. I would argue on this show, despite people thinking G. Bush would be the answer, that Jay is by far the most prisoner in the moment when it comes to his teams.
100%.
100%. He is so emotional about his teams, which is awesome because a lot of people go to national TV and they lose touch and they're like, well, I'm not a fan anymore.
Jason Lloyd.
Jason, right. Jay is not that inside. He lives and dies with his 3 teams. And he's a big baseball guy, so add that to this. So he's like, well, the season's over if we lose 10 games. Of course the season's not over. He knows that rationally, but he's emotional when it comes to the Guardians, and he's emotional because they got their asses handed to him by the Reds over the weekend. They lost to Francona. Will Benson, who's essentially done nothing the last 2 years, had the weekend of his life. Will Benson had a negative 1.2 WAR last year. You know how bad you have to be to have a negative WAR? That's what he had last year. Benson's been in the minors most of this year. Great weekend. I won't take it away from him for that, but let's not get carried away about the plenty of things to criticize the Guardians but not trading Will Benson.
You got to realize Jay's so emotional. He's on a remix with Carl Thomas.
I wish I never met her at all.
Yes. So, no, the season's not over. They could go 0-10 the next 10 games. The season's not over. If the season ended today, the Guardians are in the playoffs. Now, you could say they can't win anything in the playoffs. You could say the team's not good enough to consistently win. And you could make fair arguments for all these things. I don't love the team right now, but let's not get carried away. They're not out of it, certainly not. And they're not going to be out of it in the next 10 days, no matter what happens. And they're not going to go 0-10. But even if they did, I wouldn't say they were out of it. Now, there may come a point where they're just having a bad season, and maybe in July you're making trades. I don't know. We could get to that, but we're a ways from that right now. And overall, they've played okay baseball. Not great, certainly. And it feels worse now because obviously the Tigers have been great all season. They're having a fantastic year. And they're dealing with a lot of injuries. They actually have, I believe, more guys on the injured list than any team in the American League. Maybe more than any team in baseball besides the Dodgers. But, Minnesota had done nothing. The last 2 weeks they've been sizzling hot. Good for them. The Royals have gotten hot the last couple of weeks. But they're right there with the Guardians. Baseball seasons ebb and flow for most teams outside of the Rockies and the White Sox. That happens. So, yes, taking the emotion out of it. The Guardians are not out of it. They're not going to be out of it in 10 days. Do I love what the team looks like right now? I don't. Do I think the front office has made a lot of mistakes? Yes. I don't think trading Will Benson was one of those mistakes. But, yes, there's plenty to criticize. But, no, it's just too emotional to say they're going to be out of it in 10 days.
How is Naylor and Jimenez doing this season?
Jimenez is hurt. He has not been good. The first week of the season, he was red hot. Hit like 3 home runs. And I don't think he's hit a home run since. And
he has not.
And now he's just doing what he always does offensively, which is kind of mediocre.
Josh Naylor, because the Diamondbacks.
Naylor,
he's been good.
His overall numbers are good, but they're not amazing. He's been cold. But even when he was here, he would go through like a month where he played like crap. Yeah. And then he'd get hot again. His numbers aren't mind-blowing, Mike, I don't think.
He's hitting .299.
That's really good.
5 homers, 29 RBIs, and an .820 OPS.
Yeah, I mean, that's really good. The 5 homers is surprisingly low. But listen, I'll tell you something else.
Would he be tied for third on this team?
Now, here's a legitimate
He's
criticism.
on pace real quick. His 162-game pace.
Yeah.
17 homers, 99 RBIs, 300 average, which...
Yeah, I think he'll end up hitting more home runs than that. He'll get on a hot streak of home runs. Here's the thing. What I'm frustrated about when it comes to the Guardians is... this offseason, they're spending so little money, and then what they spend, they didn't spend wisely. They should have never traded Naylor. Now, I'll give him credit for at least one start. Slade Ciccone did a really nice job in his first start for the Guardians. I was really impressed with how he pitched, and he's got some talent. But I would not have traded Naylor, and I don't know if you guys remember this, maybe you'll remember when I say it again. All offseason, until he signed with Detroit, from October till whenever he signed with Detroit, I don't remember exactly when it was, I said, the Guardians should sign Gleyber Torres. You remember how many times I said that, Mike?
Yes. Yeah, I had actually a counter. I had Ant keep track of that because you started getting annoying with it.
Yes.
And let me punch the numbers real quick.
Okay, please, check it out.
You said it too many times.
Too many times.
Who was the guy they wanted? Who was the guy Bull wanted a couple of years ago from the A's?
Brent Rooker. That's who I wanted.
Okay.
I was talking about him. Guy's an all-star now.
He's really good.
Guy's an all-star, signed an extension with Oakland at reasonable money. I forgot about it. I was making a big thing about Brent Rooker. Man, if you had Brent Rooker on this team and Gleyber, what's Gleyber Torres' numbers for the Tigers, Mike?
The computer's loading.
Computer loading.
Torres for the Tigers this season
is
having a good season. He's hitting .284, 5 homers, 24 ribbies, and .808 OPS.
Okay. He's batting cleanup for the Guardians if he's here. he's their at worst 4th best player if he's here. Think about this lineup. And by the way, they paid Gleyber Torres. So Josh Naylor's making, I want to say $11 million this year. I don't remember the exact amount.
Was that through arbitration?
Yes. I believe Josh Naylor's making 11.
Carlos 10.9, yep.
Okay. Carlos Santana's making 12, I think, right? They paid Paul Sewald, who they didn't really need, 7.
Santana's 12, Sewald 7.
Okay, and I believe Gleyber got 15. Am I right about that?
Gleyber Torres this season. Gleyber, $15 million, 1 year.
Okay,
$15 million
so you could have kept Naylor, signed Gleyber. That's $25.9 million. not sign Seawald, not sign Santana, that's 19. So it only cost you less than $6 million more. I don't care what their payroll is. They could afford $6 million more.
Okay.
And you could have had Naylor instead of Santana at first, and you could have had Gleyber Torres. So you would have had 5 with Manzardo, Kwan, and Ramirez. You would have had 5 legitimate quality starting hitters in your lineup. Instead, you have 3. Then you have Schneemann is doing a nice job. Arias has been okay. Those guys, instead of being 4 or 5, would have been 6, 7. And then you only have really one weak spot offensively instead of 3.
Can I throw it?
Yeah.
So let me throw this at you, because we've been on this show for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I say the same thing every year.
We ain't got no sticks.
There's no sticks. And I came up with this grand unified theory.
Yeah.
The unified theory is that there's a hierarchy in this system, in the ecosystem. The Browns are at the top. They take all of the energy, all of the money, all of the attention. They get praised the most, and they also get killed the most. And so when you are a second and third team in the pecking order in the city of Cleveland, you're actually in an insulated position from getting very much criticism. You know why? Because no one really expects you to do much anyway. You're not the focal point. You are just the team that gets people past the feeling of when football is gone. So in the summer, you need something to do. All right, let's go watch the Guardians. We can look at the field, and guess what? It even helps you because you're at least consistently good enough to make the playoffs, but you're not good enough to ever win at that level. So what they do is say, why would we ever spend money? We're not going to be able to spend enough money to get to the level we want to get to. And we can always say, we're better than the Browns. Look how what we gave you. We're better than this. The Cavs do the same thing. But we got the core 4. Look at all the wins we got in the regular season. But they'll never have the pressure that you have in a big city. If the Mets or the Yankees or the Dodgers or all these teams with big markets, if they don't do what they need to do, the fans is on them, the people's on them, the media's on them. Here, we give parades. I've never seen in any city people give parades for front office people. Y'all might as well put their names on the
Well, I don't. And I think, last thing, I think the front office overall in their tenure has done more good than bad, but they've done a bad job the last couple of years. Zach and I talk about this consistently. They have not spent money, and when they have, they've spent it poorly over the last few years. There's no debating that whatsoever. The front office has not done a good enough job in recent years, and they deserve plenty of criticism.
All right, we got our guest, guys.
Go ahead.
We got to get to our guest. We are thrilled to bring in Joe Schobert here after a quick word from Scott.